The crowbar hit the window at exactly 2:03 a.m. Glass exploded inward, 1,000 glittering shards raining across our living room floor like frozen stars. Cold air ripped through the hole. The curtains thrashed violently. Emma screamed from the bedroom, and outside, silhouetted against the porch light, stood Karen, wild-eyed, shirt torn at the shoulder, hair whipping around her face like something possessed. She raised the crowbar again. "You should have given us the house when you had the chance!" Behind her, two teenagers stood frozen, faces pale with horror, realizing they'd crossed a line they could never uncross. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared at the woman who'd turned our dream home into a nightmare. "My wife is pregnant," I said quietly. Karen's eyes blazed. "I don't care." That's when I knew this wasn't about a house anymore. This was about something darker. Something broken inside her that had been festering for years, and we were just the latest victims. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. Let me show you how quickly paradise can turn into hell when one person decides they own something that was never theirs. My name's Jason Rivera, 34, software engineer. My wife Emma and I had spent 6 years saving for our first home, 6 years of ramen dinners, skipped vacations, cramped apartments while watching friends buy houses and start families. But we'd finally done it. A 3-bedroom house in a quiet Portland neighborhood. Nothing fancy. Just a place with a yard, a nursery for our daughter due in 3 months, and enough space to finally breathe. We closed escrow on a Tuesday, moved in on Wednesday. By Friday morning, our lives had shattered. The first knock came Thursday afternoon. Emma and I were unpacking the last boxes, laughing about where the crib should go. She was glowing in that way, expecting mothers do hand resting on her belly, eyes bright with hope. For once, everything felt right. Then came the knock, soft, hesitant, almost polite. I opened the door and found a kid couldn't have been more than 18. Slim frame, oversized backpack, thick glasses sliding down his nose. He looked up at me and said without preamble, "Yeah, I want to live here." I actually laughed, looked past him for the camera crew. Nothing. No friends, no prank. Just this kid staring at me like he'd asked the most reasonable question in the world. "Sorry," I said slowly. "You've got the wrong place. This house isn't for rent." He blinked, confused. "But it's small, so it's probably cheap." "I want to live here." The confidence was staggering. The logic? Non-existent. "No, really," I said. "We're not renting. We're expecting a baby. We need the whole house." He frowned like I was being unreasonable. "Okay, but think about it. I need a place to stay. This one looks affordable." I politely told him again, not for rent, not available, not his. Then I closed the door, certain I'd just experienced one of those bizarre stories you tell at parties. Emma nearly collapsed, laughing when I told her. "Maybe he lost a bet?" she joked. We moved on, finished dinner, started hanging pictures in the nursery. That was our last peaceful night. The next day, dinner time, the doorbell rang again. Harder this time, insistent. I opened the door and the world tilted. The kid was back. And this time, he'd brought reinforcements. Standing beside him was a woman I'd never seen before. Mid-40s, arms crossed, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown, lips pressed into a permanent scowl. She didn't wait for me to speak, just jabbed her finger at my chest. "My son came here yesterday, and you refused to discuss his future housing." I froze. "His housing?" "Yes," she snapped. "He needs a place to live. Dorms are disgusting, cramped, full of germs. I won't allow him to suffer." The kid nodded solemnly behind her, like I'd personally dishonored him. "Ma'am," I said carefully, "we're not renting. This is our home. We just moved in." She leaned closer, too close. "Everything is negotiable. Not this. We're expecting a baby. We need the whole house," she scoffed. "That's very inconsiderate of you. My son has needs too." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Actually laughed in her face. Wrong move. Her expression darkened instantly. "A room?" she spat. "You think we're asking for a room? You clearly don't understand. You will give him the entire house. My brain couldn't process the words. The entire house? Yes. I wouldn't allow him to live with rude strangers like you. This house suits him. You need to move out immediately. Heat rushed through me. I stepped back, exhaled slowly, and before I said something I'd regret, I closed the door. Firmly. The pounding started instantly, fist after fist, her voice shrill. Open this door. You can't ignore me. This is our right. Emma's fork clattered against her plate. She flinched, clutching her stomach. 6 months pregnant. She didn't need this. I guided her to the bedroom, helped her sit, handed her headphones. Stay here, I whispered. I'll handle it. When I returned to the front, the pounding continued. Neighbors were opening windows, peering out. And then, sirens. Distant, but growing closer. Karen's voice shifted from rage to triumph. There! Arrest the trespassers! My heart sank. She'd already called the police. And somehow, in her twisted reality, we were the criminals. 2 officers arrived within minutes. Karen stood in our yard, waving her arms like she was flagging down a rescue helicopter. They're inside, she shrieked, pointing at my door. They broke into my son's home. They refused to leave. Her son stood behind her, shifting uncomfortably, clearly unsure what expression matched the insanity unfolding. The officers approached her first. I cracked the door just enough to hear, "Ma'am, can you explain what's happening?" Karen placed her hands over her heart dramatically. "This house belongs to my son. These squatters broke in. I tried to reason with them, but they screamed at me and threatened us." I almost choked. Threatened? I'd barely said 10 words before closing the door. The younger officer's brow furrowed. "So the occupants inside aren't the legal owners?" Karen nodded vigorously, tears squeezing out through sheer force. "That's correct. Please remove them. My son starts college soon. He needs his home." The officers exchanged a glance, one that said they had to take this seriously, even if it sounded absurd. That's when they approached my door. I opened it fully, hands visible, posture calm. "Good evening, officers. I think there's been a huge misunderstanding." The older officer held up a hand. "Sir, are you currently occupying this residence?" My eyebrows shot up. "Yes, I live here. My wife lives here. We bought this house." Karen gasped, like I'd confessed to murder. "That's a lie! He broke in! He's trying to steal my son's home!" The younger officer cleared his throat. "Sir, do you have documentation proving ownership?" "Yes. 1 second." I stepped inside, locked the door, and retrieved our folder deed. Closing documents, property tax receipts, everything. My hands were steady, because beneath the shock was something stronger. A quiet, burning anger that only comes when someone tries to strip away something sacred. When I returned, Karen lunged forward like she expected to catch me fleeing. I held up the folder. "Everything's here." The officer stepped closer. Karen craned her neck, trying to see telepathically. "We'll need to review these," the younger officer said. "Of course." I handed them the entire stack. Karen crossed her arms triumphantly. "Those papers are fake. They printed them. Squatters do this all the time. My cousin's friend's neighbor had the exact same thing happen." She said it with the confidence of someone quoting Supreme Court precedent. The officers ignored her and began reviewing the documents. Purchase contract, loan papers, deed transfer, tax statements, all filed legally and properly. Karen paced behind them, muttering "unbelievable" and "the audacity," and "I can't wait to see them dragged out." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. My heart was steady now. Facts don't scream. After a few minutes, the older officer looked up. "This appears legitimate." Karen gasped. "Appears? Check again. They photoshopped something." Her son tugged her sleeve. "Mom, maybe quiet." The officers didn't react. Instead, the older one turned to her son. "Do you have documentation? A deed? Lease? Anything?" The kid froze, eyes darting, mouth opening and closing. Well, my mom." Karen swooped in. He doesn't need paperwork. We know the truth. The younger officer sighed. Ma'am, unless you can provide legal proof, we have to go by documented evidence which clearly shows this man owns the home. Karen's face twitched, like a glitching video game character. No, she whispered. No, I refuse to accept this. They're criminals. Arrest them. The older officer straightened. Ma'am, you need to calm down. I will not. Her voice cracked like thunder. Do your job! The officers exchanged a weary look. This wasn't a property dispute anymore. This was a disturbance. Ma'am, the older officer said firmly, filing a false police report is a criminal offense. If you don't stop and step back, we'll take further action. Karen threw her arms up. I am the victim! You should be protecting me! This is harassment! Discrimination! That's enough! The younger officer snapped. For a moment, she stood frozen, mouth hanging open. Her son whispered, Mom, let's just go. No, she snarled. They haven't paid. They haven't suffered consequences. Ma'am, turn around, hands behind your back. Gasps rippled from gathering neighbors. Karen sputtered. You can't arrest me! I'll sue you! I'll sue everyone! But the officers didn't respond. They guided her toward the cruiser as she kicked, twisted, shrieked like something feral. Her son stood alone, shrinking, before quietly backing away and practically jogging home. When the cruiser finally drove off, silence fell, heavy, disbelieving. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Inside, Emma peeked from the hallway. Are we okay? I took her hand. For now. But something tells me this isn't the last we've heard of her. Unfortunately, I was right. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake listening for every sound outside, every rustle, every creak, every noise amplified into potential threats. At 3 a.m., I got up and checked the porch, the backyard, the garage. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The artificial calm before something worse. The next morning, I brewed coffee and stepped outside. The air felt wrong. 2 neighbors stood on the sidewalk, whispering, glancing at our house. Their looks weren't sympathetic. They were curious, hesitant, almost suspicious. Mrs. Henderson, the elderly woman across the street, shuffled out with her terrier. She caught my eye and offered a strange smile. Quite the commotion last night. You could say that. She lowered her voice. I don't know that woman well, but be careful. People like her don't let things go. I thanked her, though I already knew. Later that day, Emma and I ran errands. She wanted paint samples for the nursery. For a couple hours, things felt normal again. Watching her smile at baby decorations eased the tension in my shoulders. When we returned home, that fragile calm shattered. There were tire tracks on our lawn. Fresh ones. Shallow enough to show they came from a smaller vehicle, but deep enough to be intentional. They cut across the grass in a wide arc, circling close to our front steps before disappearing back onto the road. Emma gripped my arm. Who would do that? I didn't have to say it. We both knew. Karen, even if she wasn't physically here, she had friends, supporters, people willing to help her get revenge. I took pictures just in case, then ushered Emma inside. Maybe teenagers, I tried. Maybe someone made a bad turn, but I couldn't lie to myself. The timing was too perfect. Over the next few days, more things happened. Small harassments meant to needle under the skin. One morning, our trash cans were knocked over, pushed, not blown. Trash scattered across the driveway. Another day, a delivery driver said someone tried to reroute our packages earlier that morning using my name. Twice, I found handwritten notes in our mailbox. People know what you did. This neighborhood belongs to families who follow the rules. You should consider moving before things get worse. All unsigned. All in messy script trying to disguise handwriting. My temper simmered, but my priority was Emma. Her stress was climbing. The baby didn't need this before even entering the world. So I tried to keep things peaceful. Told her I had everything under control. But one evening, I was in the garage when I heard a faint noise outside. Something soft, subtle, like leaves being pushed aside. I stepped to the entrance and scanned the yard. A figure stood by our mailbox, young woman, late teens, hood up, glancing around nervously as she slid something into our box. When she noticed me, she froze. "Hey!" I shouted. "What are you doing?" She jerked backward, stumbled, then sprinted down the sidewalk. I ran after her, not to catch her, but to see where she was going. She darted into a black Prius parked 2 houses down. The door slammed. The car sped off, but not before I saw the license plate. I jogged back, adrenaline pumping. Emma stepped outside. "What happened?" I opened the mailbox. Inside was a folded sheet of paper. I unfolded it slowly. "Give the house back. You stole it from a family who needs it more. If you don't leave, you'll regret it." No signature. Same sloppy handwriting. But the message wasn't just harassment anymore. It was escalation. A promise that someone, maybe Karen, maybe her followers, wasn't done. I took a picture, folded it, filed it with the others, then sat on the porch steps, trying to keep my breathing steady. Emma sat beside me, quiet for a long moment. "Do we call the police again?" I considered it, but without proof of who did it, it becomes a file in a drawer. A record. Nothing actionable. "We document everything," I finally said. "Every note, every incident. If this continues, we'll build a case." She nodded. But fear lingered in her eyes. That night, I lay awake again, listening, waiting. At 3 a.m., I checked everything again. Porch, backyard, garage. Everything looked normal, but the artificial normal that hangs right before disaster. The next morning, when we opened the front door, Karen was back. Not screaming, not pounding, standing on the sidewalk, arms crossed, wearing a smug smile, a smile that said she had a new plan, a bigger one. There she stood, Karen, back on my sidewalk like she owned the world. But this time, something was different. She didn't rush forward, didn't scream, just stood there, calm, controlled, too controlled, and that was more unsettling than any tantrum. Emma gripped my hand. I felt her fingers tremble. I squeezed once quiet reassurance and stepped forward. Karen watched like a hawk. "Good morning," she said stiffly. I didn't return the greeting. "What are you doing here?" She smiled, thin, artificial. I wanted to speak civilly. Neighbors should resolve disputes calmly. My jaw tightened. "There is no dispute. This is our house." End of story. She shook her head pityingly. "See, that's your problem. You're approaching this from a selfish perspective. Some people are meant to give back to their community. Support those in need. And let me guess, we're the some people." Her grin widened. "Exactly." For a moment, I just stared, waiting for the next wave of insanity. "I talked to several board members," she said proudly. "They all agree your family would be more comfortable in a rental, something more appropriate for your income status." I almost laughed. "We don't have a board. This neighborhood doesn't have an HOA. "Not officially," she said, tapping her chin. "But several neighbors are open to forming one." Ah, so that was her play. If she couldn't get our house through intimidation or fake police claims, she'd build a fake authority structure to pressure us. I folded my arms. Even if there was an HOA, they couldn't seize private property. Karen laughed. "You clearly don't understand how these things work. When a community decides you don't belong, that's enough." "No," I snapped. She flinched. "No, you listen," I said, stepping closer. "My wife is pregnant. We worked years for this home. We mind our business. But you keep inserting yourself into our lives, and it's going to stop. Today," her nostrils flared. "Or what?" "Or I file harassment charges." Karen laughed again, sharp, mocking. "Go ahead. The police already embarrassed themselves. They won't dare do it again." I took a slow breath. "Leave. Now." She didn't move, just studied my face, searching for cracks. When she found none, her smile dropped. "Fine, but don't say I didn't try to be reasonable." She turned and walked away, shoulders stiff, steps angry. Her son waited by a black Prius down the sidewalk. When she reached him, She whispered something sharp and climbed in. The car sped off. Emma exhaled shakily. "Do you think she's done?" "No," I said honestly. "That wasn't goodbye. That was a warning. The next week proved me right. It started with more notes shoved under our door, taped to our mailbox. You're being watched. Get out while you still can. The board has voted. You're being removed." There was no board, not yet. I kept every note in a sealed folder, documenting dates and times. Then came the cameras, not ours, theirs. Small, cheap cameras positioned across the street. One inside a parked car, another on a neighbor's windowsill. They weren't subtle. They weren't meant to be. They were meant to intimidate. Emma cried the night she spotted the first one. I held her and promised nothing would happen to our family. But anger was replacing fear inside me. Every invasion, every trick, every childish harassment was fuel on a growing fire. One Thursday afternoon, things escalated. I'd just returned from the grocery store when my phone buzzed, motion alert from our doorbell camera. 3 people walked up to our door. 2 women, 1 man. Clipboards, printed papers. They knocked loudly, repeatedly. Emma opened the door hesitantly. From my screen, I could tell they were aggressive, pointing at papers, waving arms, stepping closer than anyone should. I dropped the groceries and sprinted to the door. When I opened it, the 3 turned to me. "You must be the husband," the lead woman said. Cold smile. Professional. Calculated. "Who are you?" "We're the interim HOA formation committee," she said proudly. "The community is moving forward with establishing a homeowners association. Based on your recent behavior, a formal complaint has been filed." I stared. "There is no HOA here." "Not yet, but under state law, we can form one with majority interest. We believe you're creating disruption." I nearly laughed. "Because we exist? Because we refuse to hand over our home?" They exchanged uncomfortable glances. "We'll be back," the lead woman said sharply. "With paperwork." They walked away. Emma looked at me, tears in her eyes. "I can't take this anymore." I pulled her close. "They won't win, I promise." But inside, something dark settled in my chest. If they wanted war, they'd get one. Because I wasn't just protecting a house, I was protecting my family. That evening, around 7:30, the doorbell rang again. Hard, repeatedly. I checked the camera. Karen, pacing on our porch like a caged animal. I stepped outside, closing the door so Emma couldn't hear. Karen spun toward me. "You!" she screamed. "You think you're clever? The committee told me everything. You were rude, aggressive. They're filing a report." "Let me guess, to the HOA that doesn't exist." "It does exist. And soon you'll be fined, removed, replaced by people who respect the community." I exhaled. "Karen, there is no scenario where you get this house. It's ours. We worked for it. You need to stop." "No," she spat. "You need to understand, this house was meant for my son. He deserves a real home. You just took it because you moved fast. That isn't fair." Ah, there it was. Not entitlement, not confusion. Jealousy. Ugly, burning jealousy. "You think this is some prize you were robbed of?" I said quietly. "But life doesn't hand out homes because people deserve them. You're not the victim." She shook her head violently. "You stole it." "No, we bought it. Legally." She stepped closer, voice dropping to a venomous hiss. "If you don't hand it over, you'll wish you had." I stood straighter. "Are you threatening me?" She didn't answer, just smirked, turned, and stomped away. Her son waited by the Prius. She whispered something sharp and climbed in. The car sped off. At 2:14 a.m., I woke to a loud metallic noise outside, near the driveway. I slipped out of bed quietly and approached the window. At first, nothing. Then movement near our property edge. 2 figures, both holding flashlights, both bent over something at the side of our house. My heart pounded. One raised a tool metal rod and tapped our water meter housing. They weren't snooping, they were tampering. I grabbed my phone and stepped outside quietly through the side door. No lights, no shouts, just assessment. When I got close enough, I froze. Not from fear, but disbelief. Karen's son and another kid, both with cheap ski masks pulled to their chins instead of over their faces, kneeling by our water meter, the friend whispered nervously, "Dude, hurry up. I don't think this is legal." Karen's son hissed back, "My mom said it's fine. If they don't have water, they'll leave." Water. They were trying to shut off water to a pregnant woman. I stepped into their flashlight beams. "You picked the wrong house," they screamed. Both fell backward like dominoes. The friend scrambled up, tripping over his own shoelaces. Karen's son stayed on the ground, blinking. What do you think you're doing?" I demanded. "My mom said, I cut him off. Your mom puts you up to everything, doesn't she?" The friend bolted. Karen's son tried to run, but I grabbed his arm not to hurt him, just to stop him long enough to snap a picture. "Hey, don't." Smile. "This is going on the police report." He ripped free and took off, slipping twice. I stood there, staring at the meter, pulse pounding. They'd actually tried to sabotage our utilities. I called the non-emergency police line. An officer arrived within 15 minutes. I showed him the picture, the damaged housing, the harassment string. He nodded gravely. "We'll file a formal report." Before leaving, he said something chilling. "Families like yours shouldn't deal with this, but people like her, they don't stop until someone stops them." The next morning, I told Emma everything carefully. Not to scare her, but even the watered-down version upset her. She spent the day lying down, trying to calm stress-induced cramps. Seeing her like that broke something in me. This wasn't about a crazy neighbor anymore. This was about protecting my wife, my unborn child, our right to peace. And the universe chose that moment to knock again. 2 officers at our door, stern-faced, and behind them Karen, smiling triumphantly. "See?" she told them. "I told you," he threatened my son. "Arrest him." I stood frozen, staring at Karen wearing the most disturbingly satisfied smile. "Sir," the older officer began, "we received a report you threatened physical harm against this woman's son." Karen gasped dramatically. "Yes, my poor boy came home shaking. He assaulted him, grabbed him, threatened to destroy our family. I didn't move. Anger, when hot enough, doesn't explode. It freezes, becomes razor-sharp focus." "Officers," I said calmly, "her son attempted to tamper with our water meter last night. I caught him. I have photo evidence. I called police myself. There's already a report." Karen's fake shock dissolved. Her smile faltered just a split second, then she recovered, shoving between me and the officers. "That's a lie," she screeched. "My son was with me all night. You're framing him, justifying your violence." I looked at the officers. "Would you like to see the photo?" The younger officer nodded. "Yes, please." I retrieved my phone, pulled up the picture. Karen's son's face crystal clear, lit perfectly by the dropped flashlight, eyes wide, mouth open. I held the screen forward. Karen lunged, snatching the phone before they could study it. She pressed her finger hard against the screen, then whipped her arm back and hurled my phone toward the lawn. I caught it mid-air. "Wow," I said softly. "Obstruction of evidence. Good to know." The younger officer straightened. "Ma'am, you can't do that," Karen spun. "Why are you taking his side? Can't you see he's manipulating everything? He's dangerous." The older officer exhaled long, exhausted. "Ma'am, we need to speak to your son. If he's making accusations, we need his statement." Karen froze. "He's not home. Where is he?" She looked around wildly. "He went to the store. At 7:45 the morning? Unimpressed." "Yes, he's a responsible adult," the younger officer radioed quietly. Karen's breathing quickened. "You can't interrogate him. He's traumatized." "Ma'am, we need both sides. If you filed a false report," Karen's face twisted. "I didn't. He did it. He's lying." She jabbed at me, voice cracking. "He attacked my family." I stood calm. "Officers, check the water meter damage. It's still there." The younger officer stepped off with purpose. Karen ran after him. "No!" Don't! You don't have permission. That's his property. No. Wait, that's our property. My son's property. She circled them frantically, trying to block their view, talking non-stop in panicked bursts. The moment the officers crouched and saw the scratched bolts, pried metal, tampered housing, everything became clear. The younger officer stood. We'll need your son to answer questions. Karen backed away, trembling. No, he won't. He doesn't have to. You're harassing us. The older officer spoke calmly. Ma'am, step aside. She didn't. She planted her feet, shaking her head violently. No, I won't let you take him. I won't let you destroy our livelihood. We deserve that house. They stole it. The officer straightened. Ma'am, turn around. The words dropped like stones. Karen froze. No, turn around. She didn't move. So he stepped forward, took her wrist, began the process. No, 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 she screamed. You can't do this. I'm the victim. But the handcuffs clicked into place. When they guided her to the cruiser, she kicked, twisted, shrieked like something possessed. You can't arrest me twice. I'll sue. I'll own this department. My son will have this house. You can't stop us. Neighbors peeked from windows. Curtains shifted. Doors cracked. Someone recorded the meltdown. Karen noticed and shrieked louder. Stop recording! I'll sue you. You can't. This is illegal. I'm being targeted. Her voice faded as they placed her in back. The door shut. Silence washed over the street. The older officer approached. We'll follow up later, sir. Rest assured this behavior won't be tolerated. I nodded. Thank you. The officers drove off, leaving muddy footprints and lingering shock. I walked inside. Emma sat on the couch, hands on stomach, tears streaming. Is she gone? Yes, for now. She leaned against me, sobbing quietly. I held her tight, but even as the house settled, even as the air calmed, I knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't finished. People like her don't stop after arrest. They think consequences are unfair punishments for being right, and I had a gut feeling the next round would be worse, because humiliation makes unstable people unpredictable, and Karen had just been humiliated. Twice. The rest of that morning felt wrapped and fragile, quiet. Not peace. Peace had abandoned our address, but hollow pause, like stillness between aftershocks. Emma sat curled on the couch, blanket over shoulders, sipping tea with trembling hands. I stayed close, watching windows, checking the street. Around lunchtime, I convinced her to lie down. She needed rest. Stress was eating her alive. The baby didn't deserve this madness. Once she was asleep, I spent the hour gathering documentation, notes, photos, everything, organizing them into a binder, building armor. But the quiet didn't last. Mid-afternoon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Something told me to answer. Hello? Hesitant voice. Is this the homeowner? The one with the, incident? Yes. I'm Officer Daniels. I wasn't responding, but I've been assigned to review the case. I exhaled. Thank you. That's why I'm calling. Karen, the woman in custody, she's demanding to file multiple statements, claims of discrimination, assault, harassment, conspiracy. Frankly, some of it's incoherent. Sounds about right. She's also demanding to speak with a judge immediately. We're sorting what's legitimate, but I wanted to warn you there's a chance she'll be released tonight. Not because we're letting her off, but the charges right now are misdemeanors. It's procedure. My stomach tightened, so she could come back. Possible. We've placed a temporary no-contact order, but enforcement only works if violated. I'd strongly recommend keeping cameras active, documenting everything, calling immediately if anything happens. I thanked him and hung up. A no-contact order was better than nothing, barely. People like Karen didn't see boundaries as rules, they saw them as challenges. I didn't wake Emma with the news, kept it to myself. Continued preparing. I went outside, tightened porch camera screws, adjusted garage cam angle, installed new motion sensor light, checked locks again and again until my rational brain said I was overdoing it, but my instinct said I wasn't doing enough. Night came too quickly. Quiet dinner. Emma's hands trembled, holding her fork. I tried reassuring her, but the weight felt impossible to lift. Around 10 p.m., just heading to bed, the doorbell rang. My heart lurched. Camera feed. Not Karen. Her son. Alone. Standing in the dark, shifting nervously. My first instinct was anger. For what he'd done. For letting his mother drag him into chaos. But when I zoomed in, I saw something else. Fear. Genuine fear. Not bratty, the kind from realizing you're in over your head. I stepped outside, keeping the door cracked. What do you want? He swallowed hard. I came to apologize. I didn't trust whatever game Karen might play. He glanced at the camera. I know you're recording. That's fine. I just need to say something. I crossed my arms. Go on. He wiped his palms. My mom, she's not well. Hasn't been for a long time. I've tried telling her to stop. Tried stopping her from coming here, but she doesn't listen. To anyone. Your mom tried getting you to shut off water to a pregnant woman, I said sharply. You went along. His eyes fell. I know. I'm sorry. Really. I didn't know it'd get this far. I thought maybe if she saw I tried, she'd calm down. She doesn't calm down unless she gets what she wants. Well, I said, what she wants is illegal. He nodded. I know. Now she's in jail, blaming everyone but herself. Is she out? He shook his head. Not yet, but she will be, soon. And she said she's coming straight here. My blood ran cold. He continued, voice cracking. I don't agree with her. I don't want your house. I don't want anything. I just want her to stop. But she won't, unless someone forces her. You could press charges. He laughed bitterly. Against my own mom? She'd destroy me. She might be crazy, but she's still my mom. I still live with her. Strange mix of anger and pity twisted in my gut. The kid was trapped in her storm. He took a shaky breath. She said she has one last plan. Something big. Said it would end it once and for all. I don't know what, but it scared me. What kind of plan? I don't know. She wouldn't tell me. Just told me to look the other way. My shoulders tensed. Heartbeat thudded. A threat from someone rational is frightening. From someone unhinged? Unpredictable. But from someone who's crossed lines repeatedly, been humiliated twice, feels justified? That's dangerous. Why tell me? Because, he swallowed hard, you have a baby coming. You don't deserve what she's planning. His voice cracked. Just be ready. Then he turned and walked away. I didn't stop him. Just stood there, staring as he disappeared into shadows. When I went inside, Emma stood in the foyer, hands shaking. What was that? I couldn't sugarcoat it. A warning. Her eyes widened. She's coming back. Yes, but this time with something worse. Emma pressed her hand to her belly. What do we do? I exhaled slowly. We prepare. And we did. Moved furniture from windows. Turned on every security light. Locked every deadbolt. Set up chair near the front door. But no amount of preparation felt like enough. Because I didn't know what we were preparing for. Fire? Vandalism? Another false report? Break-in? Or something I hadn't imagined. At 2:03 a.m., I got my answer. The sound that woke me wasn't a knock. Wasn't shouting. Wasn't a car. It was a loud crash. The unmistakable sound of glass shattering. Emma screamed. And somewhere outside, a woman's voice screeched, Now you'll learn. Karen had returned. And this time, she didn't come alone. The sound of shattering glass is one of those noises your brain registers before you're fully awake. Primitive. Unmistakable. The kind that bypasses logic and hits straight into survival mode. Emma bolted upright, clutching her stomach, face pale with terror. I told her to stay in the bedroom. Don't move. She didn't argue. Her voice was trapped between fear and shock. I rushed into the hallway, heart pounding so loud I felt it in my throat. Didn't grab anything, not even my phone. just sprinted toward the living room where cold air swept through a gaping hole where our front window had been minutes earlier. Glass shards sparkled across the floor like lethal diamonds. Curtains thrashed violently in the night wind. And standing outside, silhouetted by porch light, was Karen. Her hair was wild, shirt ripped at the shoulder. There was something in her hand, something heavy, metal, frighteningly familiar, a crowbar. Behind her, two shadowy figures moved like jittery teenagers, erratic, panicked, probably the same kids she'd roped in before. Maybe the friend who ran at the water meter. But tonight they weren't sneaking. Tonight Karen had gone full feral. She stared through the shattered frame like a predator cornering prey. "You should have listened," she hissed. "You should have given us the house when you had the chance." My pulse surged with pure adrenaline and rage. "What the hell is wrong with you?" "My wife is pregnant! I don't care!" she shrieked back. "You stole our home!" "You deserve what's coming," she raised the crowbar, and for a brief, nauseating moment, I thought she'd climb straight through the broken window. I shouted over my shoulder, "Call the police!" even though Emma was in the bedroom, terrified. Karen's eyes blazed. "Don't you dare! Don't bring them into this! They never listen to me, only to you!" One teenager tugged her arm. "Mrs. K, we should go. This is crazy." She whipped around, slapping his hand away. "No! No one tells me what to do! Not you, not him, not anyone. Tonight we take back what was stolen!" I stepped backward toward the hallway, trying to block her view of where Emma was. "Get off my property, Karen. Final warning." She laughed. "Horrible. Broken. Warnings are for weak people. And you?" She pointed the crowbar. "You're the weakest man I've ever met." That's when she did something unexpected. She turned and swung the crowbar not at me, but at our car. The windshield exploded instantly, raining glass across the driveway. She swung again, and again. Each hit fueled by months, maybe years, of pent-up resentment, delusion, entitlement. The teenagers backed away, horrified, watching her spiral completely out of control. Emma screamed from the bedroom at the sound. That scream broke something in me. I stormed toward the window. "Karen, stop." She spun back, crowbar at her side, chest heaving. "You can't stop me," she said, voice trembling. "You can't stop any of this. Not until the house is back where it belongs. This house does not belong to you," I shouted. "You don't own it! Your son doesn't own it! No one stole anything!" Her face twisted. "You're wrong," she whispered. "You're so wrong." She walked toward the window, stepping over broken glass with slow, deliberate movements. The teenagers pulled farther away, terrified. "This neighborhood," she said softly, "was built for families like mine, not yours. Everyone knows it. Everyone agrees. You don't belong. You never did." I stared in disbelief. "You've lost your mind." She smiled then. "Cold. Empty. Then I guess we're finally on equal footing." Before I could respond, distant sirens pierced the air. Karen froze. The teenagers bolted immediately, sprinting down the street as fast as their legs could carry them. Karen spun toward the sound, eyes wide with panic. "No, not again. You tricked me." "I didn't call anyone," I said. "You did this yourself." She raised the crowbar, pointing it straight at me like a weapon. "If they take me again," she growled. I swear I'll make you pay for this. You haven't seen anything yet." The sirens grew louder, closer. Karen looked around wildly before taking off down the driveway. She stumbled, nearly fell, regained footing, sprinted toward the sidewalk. She didn't get far. Two police cruisers screeched to a halt at the corner. Flashing lights illuminated the street like a crime scene because that's exactly what it had become. Karen froze like a trapped animal, breathing hard, crowbar dangling from her hand. Officers poured out, shouting commands. "Drop the weapon! Step away from the house! Hands where we can see them!" She didn't move. Then she lifted the crowbar, and that was enough. 3 officers tackled her before she could take a step. She screamed high-pitched, furious, unhinged as they wrestled the crowbar from her grip and pinned her to the pavement. "You can't do this. You can't arrest me. I'm the victim. He stole our house. He destroyed my life." Her voice cracked into messy sobs as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. But this time the officers didn't hesitate, didn't offer warnings, didn't give gentle corrections. They read her rights. Every last word. I stood in the broken window frame, breathing hard, watching Karen's tirade dissolve into incoherent howling. Emma appeared behind me, clinging to my arm, shaking like a leaf. She rested her forehead against my shoulder, tears streaming. "Is it over?" she whispered. "Yes," I said softly. "This time, it's really over." I wasn't lying. Not this time. Karen wasn't arrested for simple disturbance or false report. She was arrested for vandalism, destruction of property, trespassing, attempted break-in, violation of no contact order, recklessly endangering a pregnant woman. And when they searched her car later that night, they found something that chilled me to the bone. A bag in the backseat containing zip ties, duct tape, spray paint, a hammer, and a handwritten note titled, "How to Force Eviction." She wasn't bluffing. She wasn't trying to scare us. She had a plan. A real plan. Had the police arrived even 5 minutes later, I don't know how far she would have gone. By dawn, the officers finished taking statements. A cruiser stayed parked outside until sunrise. Emma slept restlessly. I stayed awake in the living room, staring at the broken window, replaying everything. Karen was gone, now arrested on serious charges, facing real consequences. But even in the exhaustion, relief, and shock, something nagged me. Karen was only one part of this. She'd tried recruiting neighbors, starting an HOA, riling people against us. And someone else, somewhere, had helped her. Left notes, placed cameras, redirected packages. Someone else shared her poisoned version of reality. What if Karen wasn't the only threat? But before I could dwell on it, Emma walked into the room, wrapped in a blanket, and placed a hand on my shoulder. "We're safe," she whispered. "For now," I replied. But the story wasn't done. Not yet. Because the next morning, we received a letter. Not from police, not from Karen, but from a lawyer. And its contents blew this nightmare wide open. The envelope was thick, too thick for junk mail, too stiff for a bill, too formal for anything harmless. Law offices of Weatherby and Crane printed in embossed lettering. The kind lawyers who bill by the minute use. Emma hovered behind me as I opened it, hands steady, but pulse hammering. After everything, I wasn't sure what to expect. Another false accusation? Fabricated complaint? Insane retaliation attempt? But what I found made my stomach drop. Inside was a cease and desist letter addressed to me, accusing me of harassment, targeted intimidation, engaging in aggressive, escalating behavior toward a vulnerable mother and her dependent, accusing me the victim of months of stalking, intimidation, vandalism, attempted break-in, of creating a hostile neighborhood environment. At the bottom, in perfect cursive, Jared H. Crane, Esquire, attorney for Miss Karen Dalton. Emma gasped. She hired a lawyer. After everything she did, I clenched the letter so tight the paper wrinkled. "Not just hired one," I muttered. "Paid for one. This isn't pro bono. This is someone who thinks she can rewrite history and weaponize the legal system." I read through the rest, jaw tightening with every line. The letter demanded I refrain from speaking about Karen publicly, avoid discussing her with neighbors, remove any and all defamatory recordings or security footage, cease public displays of aggression, admit in writing I'd misunderstood the entire situation. "Misunderstood?" I whispered, disbelief turning to boiling anger. She broke our window, tried breaking into our house, attacked my car, tried shutting off our water while you're pregnant. Emma's voice trembled. This has to be illegal, right?" "It's not illegal," I said, exhaling slowly, "but it's a tactic, a bluff. Lawyers like this send hundreds of letters hoping someone folds. Tried and true method of the litigious and delusional. And Karen, sitting in a jail cell overnight, must have been foaming with determination to keep fighting. Except something was off. Why would she be able to hire a lawyer this fast? Emma asked. She was arrested in the middle of the night. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe a friend bailed her out. Maybe the committee helped her. Or maybe I trailed off. Emma placed her hand on my arm. What? I swallowed hard. Maybe someone else in the neighborhood is helping her. Someone with resources. The thought tasted bitter. Someone backing her, supporting her, feeding her obsession. And that was far more dangerous than Karen alone. I spent the next hour calling an actual attorney, one recommended by the officer who'd handled earlier reports. He agreed to meet same day given severity. When we arrived at his office, first thing he did after reading the cease and desist was chuckle. Not laugh, just a short, dismissive exhale. The sound a mechanic makes when someone claims their engine runs on moonlight. This, he said, tapping the letter, is noise. Empty, baseless noise. You don't respond, don't acknowledge, don't sign anything, don't engage. Emma let out a shaky sigh. So we don't have to do anything? Oh, you have to do something, the attorney corrected. You start documenting even more thoroughly. You prepare for escalation. People like this don't back down just because they're wrong. They push harder. He paused, studying me. But I'll say this, you've handled yourself well so far. You didn't lash out, didn't retaliate, didn't escalate. That will matter. I nodded, but the knot in my stomach didn't unravel. If anything, it grew. When we got home, we found something else waiting. A crowd. 8 or 9 neighbors on the sidewalk across from our house, whispering, pointing, staring. My jaw tightened. Emma squeezed my hand. We approached slowly. Mrs. Henderson, the elderly woman across the street, stepped forward. Are you two okay? Voice trembling. We saw the police, heard the glass. We didn't know what to do. Another neighbor, middle-aged man I'd only seen mowing his lawn, added, we didn't realize how bad it was. We thought she was just eccentric. She's dangerous, Emma whispered. She's obsessed with us. A younger woman, someone who'd recently moved in, spoke up, and she was dragging other neighbors into it. She tried getting us to sign petitions, said you were criminals, said you were taking advantage of the community. I raised an eyebrow. And you believed her? She shook her head quickly. No, but some people did. My stomach sank. Who? The group exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, the middle-aged man spoke. The committee she kept talking about. They actually formed a group chat. They think Karen was wronged. They think she deserves compensation. Compensation? I repeated slowly, as if the word were foreign. Emma whispered, This can't be real. Another neighbor stepped closer. We wanted you to know they're planning a meeting tomorrow night at the community green. They said it's about addressing the neighborhood intruder problem. Intruder? They meant me. A hot pulse surged through my chest. But before I could speak, Mrs. Henderson touched my arm gently. Not all of us agree with them, she said firmly. Some of us support you, and we'll be there tomorrow to make sure you're not alone. Then she did something that surprised me. She hugged Emma, a full, warm, motherly hug. Emma burst into tears instantly. Other neighbors stepped closer, some offering apologies, others support, a few offering contact information or security camera footage. It wasn't the whole neighborhood, but it was enough to remind us we weren't completely isolated. That night felt different. Not safe, not comfortable, but less lonely. Still, I couldn't shake the dread coiling in my gut about that upcoming meeting. Because if Karen truly had supporters, what did that mean for us? What were they planning? The following evening, as the sun dipped below rooftops, we walked toward the community green, not because we wanted to, but because we needed to know what was happening. Emma stayed close, hand in mine, the other resting protectively over her belly. At least 10 people were already gathered. Some stood stiffly with crossed arms, others huddled in whispering pairs. Karen herself wasn't there, thank God, still detained pending further charges, but the tension was thick, hostile, unmistakable. At the front stood a tall man in a suit jacket, holding a clipboard. The same man from the interim HOA committee visit. He cleared his throat when he saw me. "Ah, the homeowner," he said, nodding once. "Good. We were just discussing you." "Glad I'm the topic of conversation," I said dryly. He ignored the sarcasm. "We've had several concerns voiced by neighbors about your behavior." "Which neighbors?" I asked. He gestured vaguely. "Several." I looked around. 3 people avoided eye contact. 2 glared openly. The rest looked unsure. Then the man continued. "Given recent disturbances, including several police incidents, we've decided that until the confusion is resolved, it would be best if you and your wife temporarily vacated your home." Emma gasped. I stared, dead silent. Then I laughed. A short, sharp, incredulous laugh. "Let me get this straight," I said. "A woman illegally harasses us, stalks us, damages our property, attempts to break in, and gets arrested with a crowbar in hand, and you want us, the victims, to leave our home? It's for the safety of the community," he said smoothly. "No," I replied. "It's for your ego and your fear of admitting you backed a lunatic," the crowd murmured. The man stiffened. "If you refuse, we will proceed with legal measures." I stepped forward. "There is no HOA. There is no committee. You have no authority. And if you try to force me out, I will sue every last one of you individually and collectively." Silence. Then, unexpectedly, Mrs. Henderson stepped beside me. "He's right," she said firmly. "This isn't fair, and you know it." Another neighbor joined her, then another, then another. One by one, people stepped forward. Not everyone, but enough. The man's grip on his clipboard faltered, and just as the group was on the brink of splintering completely, a police cruiser turned onto the street and parked at the edge of the green. Officer Daniels stepped out. "Good evening," he called. "We're here with an update on the Dalton case." Everyone turned, and what he said next changed everything. Karen Dalton has been denied bail. She will remain in custody, pending psychiatric evaluation and criminal prosecution. Gasps erupted across the group. But then, he added, her attorney has withdrawn from representation. Turns out, she couldn't pay him. Relief crashed over me. But there was one more twist. Officer Daniels looked directly at the man with the clipboard. And we also uncovered communications from several residents encouraging her actions. The man paled. The officer continued, "We will be requesting statements from everyone involved. Harassment, conspiracy, and attempted forced eviction are serious offenses." Then he paused, pulling out a small notebook. "We've also identified the individual who provided financial support to Miss Dalton, including funds for the attorney retainer, materials found in her vehicle, and coordination of harassment activities." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Officer Daniels looked at a woman in her 50s standing near the back, someone I'd never noticed before. Expensive coat, designer handbag, cold expression. "Mrs. Patricia Hendricks," he said. "You'll need to come with us for questioning." The woman's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about." "We have bank records showing you transferred $3,500 to Karen Dalton's account 2 weeks ago. We have text messages between you coordinating pressure tactics. And we have emails discussing how to reclaim the property for the right buyer." My blood ran cold. "Right buyer?" Officer Daniels turned to me. "Mrs. Hendricks was the second highest bidder when you purchased your home. She lost the bidding war by $8,000. She's been funding Karen's harassment campaign in hopes of forcing you out so she could swoop in and purchase the property." The pieces clicked into place. The notes, the cameras, the coordinated attacks, the lawyer who appeared out of nowhere. It wasn't just Karen. It was a conspiracy. Patricia Hendricks stepped backward, shaking her head. "I didn't. She needed help. She was the victim." "Ma'am," Officer Daniels said firmly, "you need to come with us. Now." As they escorted her to a second cruiser, the crowd scattered instantly, guilty ones dissolving into the night, like shadows caught in light. Emma clutched my arm. "It's over," she whispered. "Yes," I said quietly. This time, it really is. But even as we walked home through the darkening street, even as relief washed over us, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been broken. Not just our window, not just our car, not just our sense of safety. Something deeper. Something that would take time to heal. 3 weeks later, Karen Dalton was formally charged with multiple felonies: vandalism, attempted burglary, stalking, harassment, violation of protective order, and criminal conspiracy. Patricia Hendricks was charged as an accessory and faced civil lawsuits for her role in coordinating the harassment. The interim HOA committee dissolved overnight. Several members issued written apologies. Others simply moved away quietly. Our neighborhood never quite felt the same. There was a tension, now a wariness. People who'd stayed silent felt guilty. People who'd supported Karen felt foolish. And we, Emma and I, felt like outsiders in our own home. But we stayed, because running would mean Karen won, and I refused to give her that. The truth about SOA horror stories. Here's what they don't tell you about situations like this. The system isn't designed to protect you quickly. It's designed to process complaints, gather evidence, follow procedure, which means you spend weeks, sometimes months, living in fear while the legal system catches up to reality. You document everything. You install cameras. You call the police over and over. You hire lawyers you can't afford. You lose sleep. You jump at every sound. You second guess every decision. And through it all, you're supposed to stay calm, reasonable, non-confrontational. Because if you lose your temper, if you retaliate, if you escalate, suddenly you're the problem. It's exhausting. It's unfair. It's infuriating. But it's also reality. So if you're reading this and you're going through something similar, if you have a neighbor, an HOA, a Karen of your own who's making your life hell, here's my advice. Document everything. Every interaction, every threat, every incident, dates, times, photos, videos, witnesses. Build an airtight case. Don't engage. Don't argue. Don't retaliate. Don't give them ammunition to use against you. Stay calm. Stay professional. Stay on the right side of the law. Get legal help early. Don't wait until things explode. Find an attorney who specializes in property law or harassment cases. Get ahead of it. Build a support network. Find neighbors who see the truth. Connect with people who'll vouch for you. Don't isolate. Prioritize your family's safety. If things escalate to threats or violence, don't hesitate. Call the police. Get protective orders. Take it seriously. And most importantly, don't let them win. Don't let someone else's madness force you out of your home, your peace, your life, because that's what people like Karen want. They want you to break, to give up, to hand them what they think they deserve. Don't give them that satisfaction. Hold your ground. Document everything. Stand up for what's yours. And don't be afraid to demand justice when others try to twist the truth, because your home isn't just a building. It's where your family grows, where memories are made, where life happens. And no one has the right to take that from you. Not even someone who believes they do. Sophia just turned 18 months. She's walking now, talking, learning new words every day. And when she's old enough to ask why we have so many cameras, why we're so careful about who comes to the door, why we check the locks before bed, I'll tell her the truth. I'll tell her that sometimes the world sends you people who test your strength, who challenge your boundaries, who try to take what's yours. And I'll tell her that we didn't run, we didn't hide, we didn't give up. We stood our ground. We protected our family. We fought for our home, and we won. Not because we were stronger, not because we were smarter, but because we refused to let someone else's broken reality become ours.